if we're wired where fear overtakes our optimism sometimes as a survival?
It can, and you have to fight it if you want. If you want to be a different kind of person, you have to fight it.
Yeah.
But I haven't kept up with the genetic studies, but studies a while back showed that nature optimizes for survival of the species, not survival of this individual necessarily. And so the herd behavior to all pull together and protect your family, the behavior about not wanting to try new things because somebody always has to try the first fruit from that tree
Yeah.
to find out if it's going to be edible or not. And a lot of times it's not. So somebody has to do that, but that's not necessarily good for the individual. It can be good for the species, though.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Do you think that plays into why sports and politics end up having two teams against each other?
Hmm. Well, in a lot of places, that's not true. That
Yeah.
happens to be the European way of doing things, and that's what we know the most about. But there are certainly other cultures where that is not the way things are played. And if you look at one of the most popular games in Asia for a long time was what's like polo, where you're riding along on horses and hitting things and trying to move them around the field. And that was every person for themselves. That was not necessarily a team sport.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things. And if you look a lot at some of the native games, a lot of them are competing against yourself. And I think that's what I like to see. We always talked about personal best. They came up with that in about, I don't know, 1980 Olympics or someplace along in there. And I think that's an important thing to remember. Have I done my personal best today?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I can run a 4-minute mile. Did I do my personal best? And I did that with my kids a lot. Okay, run to that tree and back. Okay, now do it again. And then we do it 5 days later. Okay, that's your personal best. You've got under 3 minutes for that run now. And I think that's what we should think about more.
Yeah.
Not because not everybody can be a piano player and an athlete
Yeah.
and a this and that and the other thing. But the team sports, I think I'm going to say it briefly and hope we move on. But
Yeah.
I think that religion has a lot to do with that. That religion, and not just any one religion, but religions in general tend to pit the people within the religion against the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that leads to me against you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very poor model for humanity.
Yeah. That's interesting because with, well, I guess what you would call tribalism is it goes across, religion. And then like America, it's always baffled my brain. It's like the way people take sports, like the Super Bowl, so serious. And I can never figure out why. like what is it about that? Football's a bunch of controlled chaos to me. I'm more of a baseball player where it's a little bit more definitive.
Okay.
But people get so on there, this is my team, and they, bar fights start over this. And I'm like, how is it, what mechanism do we have in our, in our brains or our DNA that have driven us to get so competitive?
I think that's part of it is
something in that sense?
capitalism.
Yeah.
And that by having an unfettered capitalist society, and everybody likes to believe they could be one of those people that's succeeding at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the American dream is supposed to be about. Everybody can be that person.
Yeah.
But we can't all be that person.
Right.
That is the truth is most of us will never be anything close to that person.
Yeah.
Most of us will have trouble even paying our rent every month.
Right.
Certainly today anyway. But I think the capitalist notion, the idea, and we go back to Horatio Alger way back about the poor boy makes good stories and Dickens and all those, that there are stories out there that if you just work hard and you are a moral, upright person, you will do well.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the way, we forgot that, okay, if you work hard, but we don't really care if you're moral and upright, but you're going to work hard and we're going to get where we want to be. That doesn't really how it works.
That's right.
It doesn't. There are people who work hard quite often do well, and quite often they don't do any better than they would have without relaxing. I think that's one of the differences between my boomer generation with me at 73 and the millennials down below the millennials, because they have watched a lot of their parents and parents' friends not do well,
Yeah.
working their their butts off
Yeah.
and not
You can say
doing
ass on here.
okay, not doing very well because it turns out that, and you know, I know all kinds of people
Yeah.
who've worked hard. And so I think a lot of them have taken the attitude, well, I'm probably going to be in this situation in 30 years anyway. I might as well just enjoy it while I'm here.
Right. I just read an article, was it yesterday or the day before, that was talking about how 1 in 5 CEOs are psychopaths. It's the same ratio in prisons.
The other, and it's more than 1 in 5 for famous generals. It's probably 1 in 1 for
Yeah.
for famous generals. And I did a study on that for a while. It's right around the time I was studying World War II and Hitler and all the people that worked with Hitler. And then I started looking at other generals that were involved. And when you look at the top generals, the people that were saying, yeah, you're going to go storm that beach, 90% of you are going to die, but that 10% will take the beach for us.
Yeah.
And you have to be a psychopath to do that.
Right.
And CEOs are a lot like that. They know that by cutting corners, people are going to get killed. People are going to get hurt by their product. People at the bottom, they do everything they can to keep them from being paid well so they can maximize the profits for the shareholders.
Yeah.
And that's what a company is for. That's what capitalism is about. But it's not good for everybody.
Right.